Am I the a-hole for what I said to my boyfriend after what he said to me? The other night I, 25F, had a shower and noticed a lump in my breast. I was freaking out as my family has a history of breast cancer. When my boyfriend, 32M, got home I said to him I was worried because I found a lump and asked him to feel it. He said he couldn't feel anything, so I was feeling to show him where to feel for it, and he said to me, "God, it's so hot when you feel yourself." I felt hurt and angry at him saying that because it feels like he cared more about his pickle than he did me. After he said that I just got my things and left, I didn't want to be around him anymore. When I came back, I told him that we will need to have a talk and probably reconsider being in a relationship together. He thinks I'm overreacting and overthinking what he said and that he loves me and cares about me. So am I the a-hole? Edit. We've been dating for 4 years and he knew about my family's history of cancer. I've been staying with my parents while this is going on and I'm stressed about it. The ultrasound showed it as a complex cyst and I am getting a biopsy next week.
Am I the a-hole for making a glitter bomb gift that was stolen? I've picked up some work from an old teacher of mine that involves decorating and wrapping gifts for a program he is the director of. They have had problems with gifts being stolen before, but still want the Christmas tree to have gifts under it. So, I get some empty boxes from work and wrap them up, using pine cones to give them some weight, except in the last one I placed a red and sliver glitter bomb inside. To be sure and maybe use it as a prank later, I use ribbons to mark the gift boxes and take pictures, just in case I forget which one it was. There was a total of 9 gifts placed under the tree. Not even a week after putting them out, 3 gifts go missing. A bit worried but mostly annoyed, the director and I brush it off but tell the other employees and volunteers to keep their eyes open. The next day one of the volunteers is yelling at the receptionist while covered in red and sliver glitter. Apparently, the lady thought they had given her 2 kids, 8F and 10M, gifts, only to find out that it was just yard trash inside. The lady then opened the 3rd gift and her whole house was covered in glitter. She demanded money for cleaning and emotional distress. Honestly, she was laughed out by the director who told her to leave and got an officer to escort her out. She is now banned from the center. I learned this today from a volunteer who said the glitter bomb was an a-hole thing to do, even when I reminded them the gifts had been stolen. Other volunteers agreed and said I was an a-hole, even though the director told me it was funny and was sorry he didn't think of it first. The kids still come to the programs but are picked up and dropped off by their dad who is annoyed by the glitter he keeps finding everywhere. The kids also apologized for taking the gifts because their mother told them to. So, am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for not buying the same gifts for my step-grandchild? My son has a daughter, Clara, 14F, and a stepdaughter, 15F. My son doesn't have a good financial situation, and while they do their best, they can only afford necessities. A few days ago, Clara was visiting us and we were talking. I asked her about school, and she told me that she is having a lot of problems because she needs a computer for some of her homework, and currently she needs to visit the library, which is far away from their home, to do her homework. Also, kids are making fun of her for not having a phone. As a grandmother, I can't just step aside and watch my granddaughter struggle, so even though we ourselves don't have a very good financial situation, we use some of our savings to buy a MacBook, phone, headphones, and a few school supplies for her, and she was obviously very happy when she received our gifts. I did ask my son beforehand, and he knew Clara would be very appreciative for us doing this. However, this has caused problems because my daughter-in-law is mad that we didn't do the same for her daughter. We told her that instead of getting upset, she can ask her child's grandparents to buy things for her, and she called us a-holes. Her daughter has 2 sets of grandparents alive, and we are all that Clara has. My son informed me that she has been trying to get Clara to share, but they have been refusing to do so. So am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for telling my brother I guess you go to jail? I, 32M, have a brother Tim, 24M, who was trying to go to film school. In July, I got a flag on my credit report. Someone co-signed my name on a private student loan. I found out my brother somehow got the information from my mom thinking I wouldn't notice. Tim is on the spectrum. He doesn't have great judgment, but has always clearly known right from wrong. My wife was very angry because we are living with my in-laws on the other side of the country saving up for a home once, or if the interest rates drop, and I have kept my credit flawless. So I did the thing you are supposed to do, reported for fraud. I tell my mom and she doesn't say much. It slowly comes out that my brother couldn't get a loan and he found some paperwork about my parents that had my social security number on it laying around. Since he needed a cosigner, he put me down. It takes months for this to come out, so my wife and in-laws pressured me to file charges on Tim. I told my mom what Tim did was wrong and illegal. My mom started crying and handed the phone to Tim, and I explained to him about what he did and that he needs a lawyer. Again, Tim is autistic and started panicking, asking about what will happen to him. Maybe because of all the stress going on, I said, "Guess you go to jail." Since then, Tim went into a bad state and his meltdown caused him to be on psychiatric hold. He's in bad shape and my family blames me because he keeps saying I'm going to jail. I don't know if he actually would for what he did, but because of what I told him, he's regressed bad and has been in a panic for weeks and is not getting better. My parents did get him a lawyer to try to calm him down, but he's back in the hospital again for another stay. He has always acted this way when anything bad happens to him, so my mom enables him to avoid it happening. So, am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for telling my son's mom she can have him for Christmas if she pays for a summer vacation? I share custody of my 8-year-old son Elliot with my ex. It's mostly split, and we have a calendar that we revise if needed. Usually, we swap him every week, but around holidays we extend the times, so the ex gets him for half of this month, and I get the other half. The reasoning for this month's schedule is that she was planning on spending Christmas with her significant other back at his home state. I wasn't planning on traveling, just Christmas at home. This week, the ex said her significant other wanted to take her and Elliot on a skiing Christmas holiday, and could she actually have him the last 2 weeks of December as well? I said, so let me get this straight. You have him for 2 weeks already, and now you're asking for another 2 weeks. Where does that leave me? She told me we can talk about it afterwards. I said, no, we can't. I'll tell you what, you give me money up front so he and I can take a summer vacation. She said that was outrageous. I said, not as outrageous as asking me to give up my time up front, and you are refusing to give me anything up front in return. And yes, I'd be willing to negotiate if I asked her to give up her time and let it be known, and not hang up like she did. My son might not even want to go. He probably would rather stay with daddy and spend the Christmas break on playdates and sleepovers with his friends. I'm not giving up my custody time for free. If she wants that from me, then I am going to be compensated somehow. Her last-minute holiday is none of my concern.
Am I the a-hole for giving my daughter the same name that my brother wanted to assign to my deceased niece? My 36M brother Atishay, 37M, had his first child recently, but she passed away due to crib death. They've been distraught about it, including my sister-in-law. A few months later, my wife Ria, 33F, got pregnant with our child, and it turned out to be a daughter. For our naming ceremony, we selected the name Karthika after much discussion. When I informed Atishay and my sister-in-law about it, he seemed startled and shocked. He told me that was what we were going to call our daughter. I did not know that, so I said sorry for bringing up that topic accidentally. He demanded that I change the name immediately. I said that I cannot do that. This discussion was on the same day that the ceremony was supposed to be held. I was not supposed to inform anyone about what name we were going to assign the child, as per Hindu tradition, but they pestered me a lot and I gave in. I said that I am not going to change when the ceremony was going to be held in a few minutes, especially since that would be inauspicious. They began to accuse me of doing it deliberately, called me horrible, etc., but I did not relent and went ahead with it. The ceremony's over now, and it's her legal name, but they're demanding that I change the gazette to name her something else and were calling me names again. I told them that it's too much to demand such a thing, and asked them to frick off. They're not talking to me now. So, am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for going out every other weekend when I have a baby at home? I will be brief. I have an infant at home and 3 stepkids. I've gone out every other weekend since my wife gave birth. I'm gone roughly 3 to 4 hours with a buddy of mine. She thinks that I should be home making dinner every single weekend because she cooks during the week while taking care of the baby and the other kids. Right now, school has been shut down for 2 weeks due to water contamination. I work 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. I'm home every night after work, and every other weekend I stay home entirely. She says she doesn't get breaks, and she says, I'm not even saying you can't go out, but seriously, pull your head out of your frickin' butt and cook dinner to take some slack off of me. I do cook dinner Fridays and Sundays every week, and the Saturdays on weekends I'm home. I think I deserve a Saturday. She deserves breaks too, but is currently breastfeeding the baby, who won't take a bottle. We try nearly every other night. Therefore, she will get breaks eventually, but right now we are at a difficult stage. Her friends of course think I'm a raging a-hole because when I don't work, they think I should stay home the entire time and cook and clean and take care of the kids. I'm only giving myself 1 day every 2 weeks, but apparently this is not good enough. In their eyes, I shouldn't ever be having breaks because my wife isn't able to. So, am I the a-hole? Edit. I will admit that I don't take full responsibility when I am home. However, I do take the older kids outside of the home on weekends so my wife can catch up on sleep with our daughter. I cook, and I do clean stuff that she doesn't like doing, like dump runs, laundry, dishes, etc. I don't sweep or mop or anything like that, but I do help.
Am I the a-hole for calling the police when the parents I babysit for were late? I, 16F, sometimes babysit on weekends. My mom's coworker needed a babysitter, and she gave him my number. I agreed to babysit 3 kids from 2 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. because the parents had some party to go to. It went okay, but the parents didn't get back at 8:30. At 9 o'clock I tried calling him, but he didn't pick up, so I texted a few times. At 9:30 I tried calling again, and again at 10 o'clock and 10:30. I tried calling my parents, but my dad was at a work dinner and my mom didn't pick up. I tried calling the parents of the kids again, but they still weren't picking up or responding. At around 11:30 p.m. I called the police because I didn't know what else to do, and I was worried something might have happened to the parents. They came, and around the same time the parents finally came back. The dad screamed at me, and he's still very upset. So, am I the a-hole? Edit to answer questions. I called the police because I was worried about the parents not picking up and being 3 hours late, and because I really had to get home. It was Sunday and I had school in the morning and homework to do, not to involve CPS or anything like that. Also, I'm not in the US, where I live. Calling the non-emergency number for the police is normal for missing people, abandoned children, etc. They have a system where they check for people in hospitals, and can even send someone to watch kids while they look for missing person, since there seem to be a lot of you questioning why I would involve police.
Am I the a-hole for kicking my mother-in-law out of my house for trying to convince my daughter to give her baby to my sister-in-law? I, 34F, have been married to my husband for 10 years. We have 2 daughters together, 7 and 5. I also have a daughter from a high school relationship who is 17. My oldest daughter is 7 months pregnant. The father is in her life. They both are working hard and saving money. I've already had the necessary talks with my daughter, but she is dead set on being a mother to this child. My sister-in-law, 35F, has struggled with fertility and basically has been told she cannot have children. They've been actively trying or just not using protection for the past 10 years and only conceived twice, both ending in early miscarriages. My mother-in-law already brought up the idea of letting sister-in-law adopt this baby, which we told her my daughter's wishes. The other day I came home from work and my mother-in-law was over, and I overheard her talking to my daughter about the idea, telling her how she wouldn't be fit to be a mother, and sister-in-law is much more prepared, and how she wouldn't want to repeat the cycle because I had her so young. She then pulled a guilt trip and told her how sister-in-law's dream is for a child. I simply opened the door and just said, "Get out." She stared at me in complete disbelief, then said I couldn't kick her out of her son's house. I said I can, and I just did. She left, but then when my husband got home from work, he said she had left a ton of messages about how in the wrong I am and how I'm setting my daughter up for failure. My husband is on my side. So am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for using guilty woman tears and ruining my fiancé's relationship with his family? I, 24F, am getting married to the love of my life, Mark, 27M. His brother James, 23M, has had a crush on me since high school. I never liked him because he was really creepy, but I put up with him during family dinners and things like that. James is a photographer, and he carries around his camera all the time. Mark and his family, and I went to a beach birthday party for his cousin the other day. I just want to point out that I'm kinda curvy in anything I wear. So Mark and I went in the water and James followed behind us. He also had his camera with him. I thought it was creepy because I've been harassed by him enough times. I asked Mark if we could get out of the water, and he said yeah. While I was walking to my beach chair, I heard the click of the camera going off. I turned around and James is giddy staring at the camera. I was really fed up, so I just started crying. It was kinda embarrassing, but I was high in emotions. I screamed at James for a while, then grabbed my sundress and put it on. I went to the car and sat there for a while before Mark came and sat in the car with me. We went back home, and our phones were blowing up with a bunch on text messages from Mark's family. We had to block some people and uninvite others from the wedding. I feel like there were better ways to handle the situation rather than ruin Mark's cousin's party, but I don't know. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I also need to include examples of James being creepy. So in high school, he got suspended from school because he snuck in the girls' locker room. He would harass me over text a lot after I rejected him. And he makes intimate comments and jokes about me when no one is around. A lot of it stopped after Mark and I got engaged, but it clearly still happens. Am I the a-hole for putting my girls in a room that isn't a legal bedroom? I'm a single mom of 2 girls, 10 and 8, and a boy, 6. We live in a 2-bedroom apartment. Until recently, I had all of the kids sharing a bedroom. The girls had a bunk bed. My son had his toddler bed, and most of their stuff was kept in the playroom or hall closet. The playroom is our second living area. It's about 9 feet by 20 feet and is mostly separated from the rest of the house. It isn't a legal bedroom because it doesn't have a door or closet. It does have a window and a door to the balcony. The kids needed some space, so I moved the girls into the play area. We installed a sliding barn door to fix the no door issue and got them some IKEA wardrobes to fix the closet issue. They still have their bunk bed, but as they get older, I plan to get them their own beds and split the room with room dividers, so it feels like they have their own rooms. They love having all of the extra space to play, since this room is much bigger than a normal bedroom, and my son is excited to have his own room. The problem is, my brother visited and saw the barn door on the kids' room. He asked about it and I told him that it's the girls' new room. He's upset that I put the girls in there because apparently, they'll be safer in a real bedroom with a real door. And that one day they'll realize I shoved them into the living room instead of giving up the master. Now I'm wondering if I shouldn't have put them in the playroom. Am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for skipping Christmas with my family because my mother doesn't want my stepson to take part in a family tradition? My 33M parents, 64F and 68M, own a country house, and we have this tradition for every child in our family to plant a tree there. I did it myself when I was 5, and so did my brother and my sister, and all my nephews and nieces. I have a 6-year-old daughter with my ex-girlfriend. My mother called me to ask if I'll have my daughter for Christmas, since we usually spend Christmases in the country house, because now she's old enough to plant her tree. I told her that my daughter will spend Christmas with her mother. I'll have her a few days before going to the country house, but I also said that my stepson, 7M, my wife, 36F, of 2 years son from her first marriage, would be there. My mother was silent for a moment and told me she didn't consider having my stepson plant his own tree. I was very offended by that. It made clear that she doesn't see him as part of our family. She then said there's no guarantee he'll remain in our lives, which obviously implies she's considering that my marriage to his mother may not last. I told her if that's how she feels, she should not expect us for Christmas this year. Was I too harsh? I wonder if I could be an a-hole, because it is her property after all, so I suppose she does have the final say.